Now we are now linking up with Kachi Ofia, who is in Los Angeles for an update on the preparations ahead of tomorrow's presentation of the 95th Academy Awards. Now, Kachi, we are 24 hours to the Oscars. It's the big one when it comes to movies, and it's one of the most respected awards globally. Bring us up to speed. How are preparations over there in LA?
Absolutely. Hello, Aaron. Preparations have definitely gone far. Yes, it's very exciting to see. This, of course, is the 95th Oscars, and there's so much excitement about, this year. To begin with, the Oscars is shifting away from tradition. If you've been watching the red carpet lives that we've had, you would notice that as opposed to the carpet being scarlet, it's very different. It's actually champagne this year. Jimmy Kimmel, in fact, rolled out this new carpet. Now, what they're basically explaining is following last year, which was, the Oscar slap, they're saying this year there will be no bloodshed. Now, I do think that was weird because I'm asking myself, there was no bloodshed last year, so what's going on? So it's very different. I would say that the red carpet, which is a huge part of the 95th Academy Awards, is a significantly different show entirely. It's yet to be seen what else is different about the show apart from that. Of course, we know that the show is being produced by Glenn Weiss, Ricky Kershin, and these are literally television gods, Emmy-winning producers. For Glenn Weiss, he's done this before. He was there for the Envelope Gate situation where the wrong winner was announced. He was also there for the Oscar slap, so he's quite familiar with how things work, and I'm sure this year, along with the president, Janet Yang, they're looking forward to putting together a really entertaining show. They said they're not going to give out any details, but what I can definitely confirm is they want people to understand how a movie is produced. So this year, watching the Oscars will be like watching a new movie. We don't know if it's going to start out with something big. Maybe Jimmy Kimmel coming down from the ceiling at the Dolby Theater. We're not sure, but we know it's going to be an absolute spectacle this year. Everyone's excited. Everyone.
Okay, all right, Kachi. Everyone is excited. But let's talk a bit about the categories and the themes that are likely to win. I know that Top Gun Maverick, is looking good in many areas. What are your preferences and what are people saying, as to the films that walk away with the Oscars?
Well, this year we have a very, very, interesting set of nominees. To begin with, we have a lot of indie films, we have a lot of sequels, we have a lot of blockbusters. Now, there's been years, speaking specifically about Best Picture, there's been years where people would say they have no idea what the movies are in the Best Picture category. They have not seen it, they have not watched it. They're asking themselves, what is this? But this year we have movies that people love, people are familiar with. Just like you've mentioned, Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick, which is a fantastic one. Off the back of the Golden Globes, Tom Cruise handing over his globes back. He really has been away from the awards circle. So him returning to the Oscars really just shows that he respects the entire idea of giving out awards. However, he will not be part of whatever politics, is involved in that entire process. We also see Avatar, The Way of Water, a big cinema film, which just takes us to what Steven Spielberg would always talk about, big cinema and just excited movies. The fact that it will be very important to return to the very grit of what cinema is supposed to be and just stop getting so distracted with, superhero films and the likes. James Cameron might not be a shoo-in to win, but it's definitely worth recognizing. However, when you talk about movies that are definitely, on top of the list for a possibility to win, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Stephanie Hsu, everyone's spoken about her performance. She's been incredibly busy. We've tried to, lock that interview, but it's such a crazy time for her because she did a great job in the film. And they've won several awards already through the award season. So everyone's speculating that this film, Michelle Yeoh is in it as well, is definitely a shoo-in to win Best Picture this year.
All right, Kachi. There cannot be the Oscars without controversies.
Yeah.
It's almost like bread and butter, literally. Okay, talk to us. With the Oscars trying to stay away from controversy, say they've changed the color of their carpet, do you think that we'll have, for once, a drama-free Oscars, that it will be about celebrating the movies, celebrating the producers, the sound directors, the actors, those behind the scenes, as against having a celebrity probably stealing the show unnecessarily.
Well, I mean, we have to give it to the Academy. They have managed to give us a seemingly peaceful event through the years. There's been a few glitches here and there, but if we're going to talk about controversy, 2022 is definitely number one on the list. Of course, where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage. And that was a very unexpected move, which of course has led to them putting in place a crisis team to avoid a repeat of such a situation. That's one. Second, we have Jimmy Kimmel hosting. Last year, there were 3 women who hosted the show, and it wasn't Oscars as usual. You know, there were more presenters, more focus on the presenters than there was on the hosts. So, say for instance, Will Smith was going to slap Chris Rock this year. Jimmy Kimmel is literally right there to just be like, yo, what's going on? Because he's hosting. He's going to be through the show, the host. He's not just going to come do a monologue and leave. He's going to be there all through. So that's one. And then, of course, the crisis team. But apart from that, it's impossible to have a show without drama. That's what I'd call it. Just the nominees alone. Everyone's been talking about several issues. You know, the fact that certain people are not nominated, the fact that Viola Davis, Diana Deadwyler, not nominated, not recognized. That's, of course, for The Woman King and Till. These are fantastic films. But interestingly, Andrea Riseborough to Leslie, a significantly simple film, that's what I'd call it. It's an independent movie, did barely $30,000 in the box office, is nominated for Best Actress. So that alone is more than enough controversy. Everyone's just looking at it with a side eye because the Academy investigated and found that the nomination was legit. There was no lobbying, but there was a bit of lobbying for that particular category, and her nomination in particular. So that's a conversation on its own. Even if she might not be winning, Ana de Armas for Blonde, the Netflix film that was incredibly criticized. I mean, apart from Marilyn Monroe's estate, who said they don't mind the film, most fans were completely irritated by the film. They felt it was literally a retelling of the trauma of this woman who's passed away, and we really did not need to live her experience. So Ana de Armas is nominated. There's things like that just huge question marks. But then there's also the good side to the whole thing. The fact that the entire Best Actor list are first-timers. These are all people who are being nominated for the first time, and that is just so beautiful. You have Brendan Fraser for The Whale, a beautiful story. Austin Butler for Elvis, another beautiful story. 2 big, shoo-ins for that particular category. We cannot forget Angela Bassett. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with her hairstylist, who is actually nominated for Best Hairstyle and Makeup for the Academy Awards. And our conversation was just so real, because one thing she would say is Angela Bassett is absolutely deserving of not only the nomination, but possibly that win as well. And we've seen certain reactions to that nomination. For instance, while I was on the Walk of Fame, on Angela Bassett's star, there was like a curse word on it. You know, someone had crossed out her name and just put a curse word over it. And it just gives you an idea of how people really see this. Oh, a black woman being celebrated for her beautiful work in Black Panther. Not everyone is okay with that. So yeah, it's impossible to not have the Oscars and some drama. I think it would even be utterly boring if it didn't exist.
But Steve, permit me to just throw in this. You've just mentioned Angela Bassett. Probably her fans have asked, what would she need to do to win an Oscar? Because she's never won an Oscar. And we are hoping that Black Panther pulls through. Viola Davis has been another lucky actress. She's put in stellar performances all through her life. Either it was probably Meryl Streep actually taking it for the devil, what they call the Iron Lady back in the day, where we felt probably the help should have actually won it for her, or probably this time around again. You've mentioned black women, but is the Oscars about trying to be politically right as against probably rewarding excellence, especially when you put in a monster performance like Viola Davis has always done and Angela Bassett has done all through her career?
You know, I would always say this, and it's important we recognize this because it's just resonated through different conversations that I've had with, various people through this entire process. No one is entitled to an Oscar. Let's just start by saying there. The Oscars, it's a celebration of film. It's a celebration of art. It's a celebration of hard work. But as much as that is what the Oscar is supposed to be, that award, there are people who vote in these films, and it's a diverse set of people. You have white people, you have black people. So there would always be a mix of opinions, a mix of perceptions. So it's expected that there will be some questionable nominations. But that's why as journalists, when we see these questionable nominations, we call them out. Why isn't this person nominated? It's not about the fact that Viola Davis is black. It's not about the fact that she needs to be nominated. Listen, she's worked so hard. She must be nominated. It's not about that. It's not the fact that Diane Deadweiler is black as well. It's about the fact that these two women put in stellar performances in their films. And every time you see the list of films that's been nominated, it gives you a scale to then weigh, if these people are nominated, why wasn't this person nominated? That's why we always have the conversation of diversity. Because if every other award show saw something significant in these films, what did the Oscars miss out on? So then the conversation around Oscars so white, which they've had to deal with in the past, then stems up because it makes us understand there's something fishy going on here. All we can do is talk about it, but regardless, it happened. So it's not about the need to be politically correct. It's about the need to be fair. It's about the need to give credit where credit is due. So when people deserve an Oscar, they should get nominated. When Halle Berry won her Oscar in 2022, everyone was excited, everyone was shocked, and it was the same type of pushback. Why hasn't Halle Berry gotten this Oscar? What is going on? And guess what? After that Oscar, we're asking ourselves the same question, when's the next one? So that's just what it is. It's just, when it's deserving, get it. If you don't deserve it, we're not going to ask about it. But when we look at the precedent the Oscar has set for giving out Best Actress, Best Actor nominations, and then you give us a nomination like Andrea Riseborough, we have every right to question you because you are now questioning yourself by doing what you yourself have always gone against.
All right, Kachi, let me just ask you this quickly. I mean, at a time that there are more Nigerians with the voting privilege, in Oscars, many Nigerians, Femi Odugbemi, Omotola Jalade, Tunde Kelani, a number of them, who are able to vote as, academy members. It is at this time that Nigeria is still missing from the whole pack. And I'm talking about the Best International Feature Film. I'm sure, as you're aware, an Argentine film is the only South African film that was nominated with the other European films. Argentina, 1985. You know the politics that kept Nigeria away at a time that we felt that we had at least two strong films. Kulia Folayon's, was it Anikulapo, and B. Bandeli's Eleshioba. The same text that got Professor Wole Soyinka the Nobel Prize in 1986. But here we are, because of politics, Nigeria does not feature. We have Nigerians voting, but there's no representation from Nigeria. What do you think about this at the time that the whole world's eyes are fixed on the Oscars?
Now, first of all, this is a very sensitive conversation, and everyone on that, that was on that list, at least I have some sort of love and appreciation and respect for the work that they do. But the reality is the reality. I personally do not think it had anything to do with politics. At first I did, because I loved all those films. I watched them, I enjoyed them. But then you ask and you research and you question things, and then you realize that maybe it's not politics. Yesterday, for instance, it was a really big day. Apart from the obvious red carpet, most of the nominees had time to move around. We were at the Essence Hollywood House, and the Essence Hollywood House is where you have a lot of black creatives coming together to just celebrate black culture, black people winning. And while I was there, I spoke to a lot of celebrities, including Nigerians. Osasi Godara was there, Sam Adegoke was there, Ineka Onwara was there. These are all veterans in their own right in film and TV. And I asked the same question that you just asked me. And everyone had a similar answer. It's not an entitlement. I'm going to say that again. When we give out the work that is deserving of that nomination, we will get it. I always take it back to Milkmaid.
Right.
Milkmaid went as far as it could, even though it did not get the official nomination, but it pushed the button. It moved forward. This year, based on technicalities, the movies that were selected did not make the mark. Yeah,
I just wanted to just throw this one in because we know that the red carpet is always one of the fun parts of the Oscars. Talk to me. What are you expecting tonight? What's the theme as we wrap it up? Very briefly, very briefly, on a lighter note.
So, I'm sorry, what did you say?
We're just talking about the red carpet and the dresses. What are we expecting? What should people look forward to tomorrow night? I beg your pardon. Like, just briefly.
You see, Aaron, now you want me to be vain because now you're about to ask me to talk about what I'm going to wear. Well, it's going to be, since you insist, I'll do the honors. It's going to be beautiful, big dresses. It's going to be sparkles. We are excited to see our favorite celebrities strutting their beautiful gowns, wearing amazing designers on the runway. Right. No one knows what anyone is going to wear, but the weather in LA has been intense, so we'll see.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll be watching. Thank you, Kachi. We'll be watching.